Older homes were not healthier by accident, and they were not healthier because people were tougher. They were healthier because the buildings worked with fire, air, and moisture instead of sealing them out. Winter air inside pre-war homes was constantly renewed, gently dried, and quietly filtered by design. That design was not theoretical. It was learned through centuries of trial, illness, death, and correction. Families noticed what caused coughs, damp lungs, mold, and fevers, and homes evolved to counter those threats long before anyone used the word indoor air quality. The winter air in an older home was never stagnant. It moved slowly, deliberately, and continuously. That movement is the single most important difference between older houses and modern sealed dwellings. Nearly every older home relied on continuous combustion during winter. Wood stoves, coal grates, fireplaces, and later oil heaters, well, they all ran daily for months on end. These fires consumed oxygen, which in turn forced fresh air to be pulled in through cracks, floor gaps, loose windows, and wall cavities. And, this was not a flaw, it was actually the ventilation system. So, as warm air rose and exited through the chimneys, replacement air entered low and slow. That incoming air was cold, but, dry. When it warmed indoors, its relative humidity dropped even further, suppressing mold growth, dust mites, and airborne bacteria. This is actually why respiratory infections spread less aggressively in those environments, even with, crowded living conditions. To recreate this today, seniors do not need an open fireplace. Any controlled combustion appliance with proper venting can restore this air exchange principle. A vented gas heater or wood stove, even used intermittently, creates negative pressure that encourages fresh air entry without mechanical fans. The key is vented combustion, not sealed heat. Modern energy efficiency treats air leaks as enemies. Older builders treated them as regulators. Walls breathed, floors breathed, windows breathed. This prevented moisture accumulation inside wall cavities and living spaces. Moisture is the true enemy of winter health, not cold air. Today, seniors can recreate this effect by, selectively reintroducing controlled leakage. Cracking windows slightly on opposite sides of the house creates cross-ventilation without chilling the space. Opening a window near the ceiling for about 15 minutes daily allows humid air to escape while still retaining warmth. This mimics the stack effect older homes relied on continuously. Radiant heat, it really defined the way folks lived through those older winters. You see, stoves, radiators, and masonry fireplaces had a way of heating objects and bodies directly. They didn't just blast air through ducts like many systems do today. Now, this method of heating had another advantage. It avoided the constant circulation of dust, dander, mold spores, and those pesky combustion byproducts. Quite the benefit, I'd say. Seniors today can take a page from the past and improve modern homes by reducing the runtime of those forced air systems. By supplementing with radiant sources like oil-filled electric radiators, masonry heaters, or even infrared panels, they can recreate stable heat without all that aggressive air movement. It's a clever way to bring some of that old-world comfort into the present. A chimney was the engine of the house. It created constant upward airflow that pulled stale air out, whether the fire was roaring or just smoldering. This prevented carbon dioxide buildup, diluted indoor pollutants, and removed moisture from cooking, bathing, and, even just breathing. When chimneys disappeared or were sealed, homes lost their natural exhaust system. Moist air remained trapped, especially in winter when windows stayed closed. Reintroducing vertical exhaust is possible even without a fireplace. Bathroom and kitchen vents that exit straight up through the roof, not sideways, well, they actually replicate chimney draft behavior. Older homes were built with lime plaster, solid wood, brick, and stone. These materials absorbed moisture when humidity rose and released it when air dried. Modern drywall, synthetic insulation, and plastic vapor barriers trap moisture instead of regulating it. Now, seniors can, at least partly, recreate the behavior of old materials by introducing hygroscopic elements into their living spaces. Unfinished wood furniture, clay pots, wool textiles, and even exposed brick walls, all help regulate humidity in a passive way. These materials, well, they quietly soak up extra moisture and then let it go when the air gets dry, smoothing out those harmful swings in humidity. The absence of synthetic fragrances really did matter. Older homes, they smelled of wood smoke, cooked food, soap, and fabric. And these odors, well, they just dissipated naturally thanks to constant air exchange. Modern homes, tend to trap chemical emissions from things like furniture cleaners, carpets, and plastics. And in winter, when those windows stay sealed up tight, this exposure just gets worse. Folks often end up with headaches, irritation, and even a chronic cough. The practical solution here isn't just masking odors, but actually removing the sources and bringing back some airflow. Seniors, in particular, really benefit from simplifying their indoor environments. By reducing synthetic cleaners, steering clear of fragranced products, and ventilating every day, you can get that same clean air effect older homes had by default. Older households, well, they followed certain habits that unintentionally protected their air quality. Fires were tended morning and night, windows were opened for a bit during chores, bedding was aired out, and floors were swept instead of vacuumed, which just stirs things up into the air. Recreating healthier winter air doesn't mean we have to turn back the clock completely. What it really takes is understanding what older homes did right, and then, well, applying those mechanisms deliberately in our modern spaces. As winters grow more unpredictable and energy costs rise, the wisdom embedded in older homes becomes, well, increasingly valuable. This isn't just nostalgia talking, it's really applied historical intelligence. Seniors who understand these principles gain independence from over-engineered systems and, honestly, regain control over their living environment. This knowledge belongs to folks who value resilience, history, and, real preparedness. It deserves to be preserved, practiced, and passed on. If you found this guide valuable, go ahead and subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles. Share this with someone who cares about real-world survival knowledge and help keep these hard-earned lessons alive for the next generation.